Welcome back. Alternatives to oil, increased private sector investment and infrastructural development, amongst others, have been identified as ways to put an end to agitations and develop the Niger Delta area. At a two-day forum held in Imo State, experts prefer solutions to the ongoing challenges. The event is the first of its kind to hold this year, with attendance extended to the oil sector, indigents, and other concerned Nigerians.
It's the 2016 Niger Delta Development Forum holding in Owerri, the Imo State capital, southeast Nigeria. And present in this auditorium are people who have concerns in the development of the region. They are gathered with one objective: facilitating commitment from investors through dialogue and collaboration with a means towards self-sustainability and development.
Which starts today's
Declaring the forum open, the Imo State Governor Marshals, who was represented by his deputy Eze Madumere, says the 2016 forum will open up focal points that will integrate the Niger Delta and bring about collaborations which will help sustain the region even in this period of economic downturn.
Areas like electricity and other infrastructure development are areas we can collaborate.
Others at the forum are optimistic that the event will shape the awareness and share understanding among stakeholders in critical steps needed to move the region ahead.
And attracting industries to the Niger Delta to tackle the problem of youth unemployment, which is the forefront of the criminal activity that goes along with the legitimate agitations and struggles of the Niger Delta people.
Key stakeholders can start to challenge themselves and try to see how do we look at other resources to develop the region. How do we engage in regional integration?
Some of the professionals and development partners also emphasize that violence and blowing up of oil installations is never the way to solve problems.
Violence won't bring an end to these problems. Yes, there is a deficit of trust and there's a deficit of delivery, which is creating this groundswell. But the true solution lies in dialogue.
If you can create effective economic activity within the Delta, then it means we can actually get some of the youths, restive youths, into employment, get them engaged, they make money, and through that we can stem the issues of violence and conflicts within the Delta.
From resolutions and recommendations reached here, perhaps a more realistic template for the region may be developed using some indices from the conference.
And to the southwest, in a bid to prevent the recurrence of herdsmen attacks in Ekiti State, the state governor, Mr. Fani-Kayode, has inaugurated the state's enforcement marshals. And part of what they are vested with is to ensure the restriction of cattle movement between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Just a few months ago, the Ekiti State governor signed into law the Prohibition of Cattle and Other Ruminants Grazing Bill.
No responsible leader will sit back and watch when his people are being killed, their wives and daughters being raped, and their source of livelihood being destroyed under the guise of cattle bearing. And therefore the law that I signed into law prescribes punishments for offenders, charging such herdsmen found in possession of firearms, other offensive weapons, with terrorism, payment for such properties damaged and farm products damaged by them, and such cattle will be confiscated by government. Any law without credible men to enforce it is no law either. And therefore, I will formally today inaugurate what I call grazing enforcement marshals. It is not your duty to shoot anybody. It is not your duty to harass anybody. You are only after arrest and harassment and arrest of cows, so that there will be enough meat for stomach infrastructure.
Fani-Kayode, Governor, Ekiti State. And in the north central, and finally, the police headquarters in Abuja paraded a four-man gang of kidnappers, including an army lance corporal. allegedly involved in the murder of a Port Harcourt-based human rights lawyer, Mr. Ken Asuete. According to the Force Public Relations Officer, contrary to an earlier suspicion that Mr. Asuete was killed by hired assassins, the suspects confessed to have kidnapped him for ransom and later murdered him after a few days in their custody.
In the preceding months, efforts have been intensified by men through intelligence-led policing and due diligence to snuff out criminalities and the hitherto rising trend of deviation from rectitude. In this regard, officers and men of IGP's monitoring unit, Port Harcourt Base, Rivers State, through painstaking investigation, apprehended the hoodlums who kidnapped and eventually murdered Mr. Ken Asuete. It will be recalled that Mr. Ken Asuete, a Port Harcourt-based human rights lawyer, was murdered in cold blood on the 29th of August 2016 along Onicholu Road, Alu, in the Ikwere local government area. 4 suspects were arrested in connection with this case. In another development, a syndicate of armed robbers, so kidnappers, on 10th of October 2016, kidnapped one Samuel Ihenacho along Aba Oyibo Expressway and also carted away his Highlander Jeep with registration number RGM 736AA. Subsequently, 4 suspects were arrested on the 15th of October 2016 after one Army Lance Corporal Lucas, where's Lucas, of 28th Brigade Battalion, Bonica, Port Harcourt, was intercepted driving the victim's vehicle.
And that's where we leave it for this edition of News Across Nigeria, where north, south, east, and west, we tell you what's happening across the country. Many thanks for watching. I'm Olumide McCall. From all of us here, see you next time.